important topic is stock type and availability group. Okay, so here this is a typical warehouse which I have just created before this class for you for better understanding. Okay, so this is my physical warehouse. Okay, the gray part is where I perform all the receiving activities. Okay, and the green color section is actually where I perform the shipping activities and scrapping and other activities. Okay, so my entire warehouse is divided into two divisions. One is this division and the other one is this division, the gray and green color part. Okay, so my customer wants to distinguish the stock between these two categories itself. Okay, my customer will log into S4HANA, he'll go to MMB and he wants to check what is the stock in this premises, what is the stock in this premises. Instead of logging into EWM, he wants to check the stock in MMB with some, he want to check the stock, how much is available at the receiving side and how much is available at the shipping storage location. Okay, so physically my warehouse is designed in this way. Okay, so this is my GR zone. Okay, and this is my warehouse premises. This is my complete warehouse premises, and my truck will come over here and it will unload the stock in the GR zone. Okay, now this GR zone is a bin and the subsequent storage type is this one, 9010. All the yellow marked are the storage types. So if you remember the org structure, we have plant, storage location, warehouse number. Under warehouse number we define the storage type. Under storage type we define one optional element which is storage section. If you don't want to subdivide further, so we will create the bin. So storage type definition and storage bin definition is mandatory. Storage section is optional. Okay, so all these are storage types. This is for GR zone 9010 is a standard storage type. Under the storage type, this is the bin. Similarly, for packing, IPCK is the storage type. Under the storage type, this is the bin created. Okay, so when we receive the stock, truck unloads the stock and put it in the GR zone bin. Okay, and later this stock is moved to the deconsolidation, or when we receive any package or the handling units in the warehouse, they will receive it in the GR zone. They will move to the packing center and they will unpack all the goods. After unpacking, they will move to the inspection where they perform the quality checks. If the quality is passed, they will move to the final bins. These are all the final bins: ST01, ST02, ST03. These three are again storage types. Under each storage type, we have these bins created: ST01 minus 1, ST01 minus 2, and so on. Okay, so under the storage type, we have these bins. If the inspection, the quality check is failed, then it will move to blocked. Okay, so again, if they want to perform any quality check or if they want to perform the returns, they can return from this storage type. If they don't want to return and due to some agreement with the customer, if those products are non-returnable, then they will scrap it. Okay, so for every storage type, you have a storage bin in place. Okay, so here we also see one PSA storage type. So after you place the stock, when you receive the sales order, you will perform the picking from this storage types from these bins. You move it to the pack work center, and then you perform the staging. You move the stock to the GI zone. Truck will come here and dock to the door. You will load the stock from GI zone to the truck, and truck will leave the warehouse premises. And when your production line is also integrated with your warehouse, then this is the production line. When production line request, or when they create the production order, they will pick all the components from the storage type, subsequent components from its corresponding bins, and place it to the PSA bin. This is called staging, production staging. And then production line will consume all the components placed in the PSA for their respective orders. They will consume all the parts. They will manufacture the finished material and place it in the PSA bin. And again from the PSA bin, they will move to its respective storage types. This general storage type is also one storage type, or a final storage type. This is the open area. This is not the rack storage. Here you place the bulk materials, which cannot be placed in the racks due to its physical complexity. You place it in the open floor. Okay. So this is the typical warehouse, how it looks like. Okay. Now you might be thinking, what is the 001 and 002? So in EWM, like in EWM, by looking at the stock type, we can identify that particular stock is lying in which storage location. That storage location is not directly connected to the storage type, but instead we have availability group. We define the availability group, we assign it to the plant and storage location, and again that availability group is assigned to its storage type. So whenever you place the stock, for example in 9010, system will show you the stock in ROD. When you move the stock to general storage area, here you see availability group is 002. In MMB, the stock will show in AFS. Okay, so this is typical org structure. This is one company, company code 1710. Under company code, we have our plant PK88. Under plant, we have two subdivisions, two storage locations. One is ROD, one is AFS. Whenever you move the stock back and forth from 001 to 002, EWM will send the message to perform the movements accordingly in S4 as well. System will move the stock from ROD to AFS. Okay. So till here, do you have any doubts? I'm going to show the
Rohit,
system.
these are the org structure which we have to create. Am I right?
Yes. Yes. Any other doubts? Okay. So in EWM, we are not directly assigning the storage location to the storage type. Instead, we are defining one element called availability group. That availability group is assigned to the plant and storage location combination along with the logical system, and then we are assigning that availability group to the storage types. We also have something called stock type. In S4, we have stock types like unrestricted, blocked, returns, and many other stock types. In EWM also, we have stock types. In EWM, we have two types of stock types. One is location independent, one is location dependent. Okay. Location independent stock type is we have FF, QQ. We have various stock types in EWM as well. For example, we have FF for unrestricted, blocked for BB for blocked, QQ for quality, and RR for returns, SS for scrap, and etc. Okay. All these are location independent stock types. And the other type of stock type is location dependent stock type. Okay. Location dependent stock type, we have F1, F2, Q1, Q2, R1, R2, like this. So why we have F1, F2, Q1, Q2, R1, R2? Okay. So first, for example, this is my plant. So under plant, I have storage locations. SL01 and SL0. For examples, I have 4 storage locations. Okay. So when your unrestricted stock is in SL01, the stock, it should show me F1. It will show me F1 stock type. When the unrestricted stock is in SL02, it will show F2. When it is under SL03, it will show F3. When it is under SL04, it will show F4. So here the catch is, just by looking at the stock type, you can identify that stock belongs to which storage location. For example, if I see material 1 with F3 quantity of 10 eaches, then just without going to the monitor, without going to the MMB, and instead of checking there, by just looking at this, okay, this quantity, this particular 10 eaches is lying in SL03 storage location. And the stock type is location independent stock type is unrestricted, and it is lying in SL03 storage location. Similarly for SL01, SL2, by just looking at the stock type, you can identify that stock is lying under which storage location. Similarly, for blocked, we have B1, B2, B3, B4. Same applies for quality as well. Same thing applies. Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Returns, they're all location independent stock type, and these are location dependent stock type. Why independent and dependent? Here, these are location dependent stock types because it is dependent on the storage location. That is why it is called location dependent. And this FFQQ are independent. That is why we call it as location independent stock type. Okay. For returns, it will be R1, R2, R3, R4. Okay. This will be little bit complicated, but in future when we are trying to perform the transactions, then you'll understand, okay, we have done the setting because of this one. That is why we are seeing this configuration, or that is why we are seeing this entry in the document. Okay, now for example, I'll show you this example right away, which you have this inbound delivery over here. Here we see the stock type is F1. Stock type determined was F1. How it was determined? So now without going to config, I'll explain you why the stock type F1 was determined. If I go to the delivery, VL33N, here in the stock placement, we have storage location, ROD. Under this plant PK88, we are receiving the stock in ROD storage location. Okay, here in our warehouse layout, my ROD is here, and for ROD, my availability group I'm identifying with 001. Okay, so if I go back to the Excel sheet, my SL01 is identified by 001. Okay, so unrestricted 001. With this combination, the stock type is F1. Understood? I am receiving unrestricted stock in 001 storage location. So that is why in EWM it has determined F1 stock type. Now can anyone tell me what is the stock type determined when I am receiving in SL02 storage location, unrestricted? Can anyone tell me, if I am receiving unrestricted stock in SL02, what would be the stock type determined in EWM?
It depends upon the availability where we have to
Yes,
put.
here this is my availability group. Now can you tell me?
Then it will be determined at F2.
F2, correct.
Yeah.
So if I'm, so system will check, okay, in which storage location you are receiving. For the storage location, how are you determining the availability group? It has determined 002 availability group. And what is the location independent stock type which you are receiving? Unrestricted. How will you get this unrestricted or restricted? It is in the delivery document. In VL33 and only you will see the stock unrestricted. Unrestricted in 002 storage location. In EWM you will see F2.
Right, one question. Can we have the availability group 001 also for storage location 002?
No, availability group and storage location is one-to-one relationship.
Okay, okay.
In EWM, we don't have any element called storage location. We are identifying storage location with the help of availability group. This is acting as a bridge between S4 and EWM. This is S4. This is EWM. Now understood? And the storage location availability group is one-to-one mapping. We are identifying. In EWM, you can simply assume that our availability group is a storage location in S4. It is representing as a storage location in EWM. That's it. Is this clear?
That's fine.
I managed to explain you as simpler as possible, because if you go to a textbook and when you try to learn, then it will look very complicated. But this is how the actual thing is. Availability group is just like a bridge between S4 and EWM, and this availability group is represented as a storage location in S4. Okay, so in the config, we will first map this availability group with plant and storage location combination, and again in the other node we are going to assign this availability group to the stock types. So that is how the determination happens. So now let me show you how we assign the availability group, how we define the availability group first, and how we assign the availability group to plant and storage location, and then how we assign the availability group to the location independent stock types. Okay, here configuration. So in IMG setup, in SCM EWM, under EWM, we have goods receipt process. Under goods receipt process, we have configure availability group for put away. Go to this node. Here, whenever we are working with any element, first we need to define and then we need to assign. Okay, that is the simple systematic steps which we need to follow. First, we are going to define the availability group. By default, SAP is going to provide this 001, 002, 003 and CD availability groups. This is by default. We are not creating this. Whenever you have a brand new system and all the BC sets are activated, then you can automatically see all the standard availability groups. Okay, let us go to our warehouse. So here, these are our availability groups already created or provided by the SAP. 1, 2, 3 and CD cross-docking. If you want to define a new availability group, you can define with your own meaningful name. Okay, we are using the same availability group provided by the SAP. Next, define non-location dependent stock type. Double click. Here we see, as I told you, we have BB, FF, QQ, RR, right? BB for blocked, FF for unrestricted, Q is identified with quality, R is identified for returns. If you go to our warehouse, you'll see the same. See BB, FF, QQ, RR. If you want to create a new stock type, a non-location specific stock type, you can create. No issues. This is again standard provided by SAP. Here we are going to configure the stock type. Double click. So before this, I told you that we are going to assign the planned storage location to the availability group. Okay, so that setting is done here in the interfaces, and then we'll go to that node again. Under interfaces, under ERP integration, under goods movement, we have map storage location from ERP system to EWM. Go to this node. Go to our plant. What is our plant? PK88. So here we have done this setting already. In the previous class, when we got a queue failure, I told you that I'm going to explain you why we have assigned this. So the reason why we have assigned this, we need to assign the availability group. First point, this availability group needs to be assigned to the plant and storage location combination. So here, as I told you, I'm going to represent ROD storage location as 001 and AFS storage location as 002. Okay, why we are seeing this planned storage location and logical system? Because in EWM you can connect multiple plants to one warehouse. That is why we are able to see this plant. And other option is we can assign or we can connect multiple ERP systems to one EWM system. That is why we are able to see logical system over here. This is the differentiator. If you are working with multiple ERP systems, this is the differentiator. If you are working with multiple plants, obviously this is the differentiator. Okay, and in the business partner in BPWH88, we have assigned this plant PK88. That is why whenever we enter this plant and storage location, immediately this party entitled dispose is determined automatically. You are not assigning this here in this node. It is determined automatically from where? From BP transaction. I'll open this BP again. So here in FLVN01 BP role, in vendor general data, here you see our plant is assigned. This business partner, we have created a business partner for our plant. That is the meaning of this. This business partner, since we have assigned, we have made this assignment. Once we enter this plant and hit enter, automatically this business partner is determined here. Who is the party entitled to dispose? In EWM, we represent plant as party entitled to dispose. So here there are two things. Plant is represented as party entitled to dispose in EWM, and storage location is represented as availability group in EWM. Okay. Once this availability group assignment is made for the plant, storage location, and logical system combination, we'll go back to that node. Configure availability group for put away. Come back. Here we have configure stock type. Double click on configure stock type. Here we have this location dependent stock type warehouse and the description of the stock type. Okay. So as I told, these are the roles of the stock type. Okay. When you are working with if you are working with the stocks which are not related to customs, then every stock will come under the same role, normal stock. If you are working with scrapping, then it comes under scrapping stock. Okay, I'll tell you again. The stock which is not related or not relevant for the customs, they will come under either normal or scrapping stock. Okay, so here for example, if I go to my warehouse WH88, so how I am able to see all these entries? Because I have already, while defining this warehouse in customizing, I have copied the this warehouse from the already implemented warehouse. That is why all these entries are also copied from that warehouse. Okay, that is why we are able to see all these entries. Here you can see this is normal stock, and if it is if the location independent stock type is BB in storage location 1, then in EWM my stock type determined is B5 in my warehouse WH88. Okay, but if my stock type location independent stock type is blocked, but it is in storage location 2 or AFS storage location, then in EWM it will show B6. Here you can see the location independent stock type is blocked, but here the storage location is changing. That is 5. Here you see different stock types. Here it is B5, here it is B6. You can give any name, it is up to you, but as per SAP standard they have given all these names. You can customize these names as per your convenience. Okay, again unrestricted, we'll see this one. So unrestricted again comes under normal stock only. Okay, normal stock, location independent if it is FF. This is S4. Okay, in S4 if you see FF, and when it is in ROD storage location, then in EWM the stock type determined is F1 in your warehouse WH88. If you have the unrestricted stock in AFS storage location, then the stock type determined in EWM is F2. That is how you can check the determination. So in inbound delivery also,
Right,
as I
can
told
you
you,
please explain? how this location independent works. Location dependent, we got to know that it is going to be mapping of availability group and storage location. But here also, even if it is location independent, it is getting determined with respect to a storage location.
See, in MMB, so again, this location independent stock type is something which you can refer in MMB. Okay, in MMB, for example, or M60. I'll take some other plants details. Under this plant, I have these many products, right? This is the material description. Where is the material? Yeah, we have the material over here. This is the report, okay? Uh, display version. So here, for this material in our plant, in plant 1710, we have this unrestricted quality and all, right? So you can, I mean, you can relate this stock type as the location independent stock in EWM. You understood? Here in the configuration, you can represent this location independent stock type with the stock type which is showing in MMBA transaction. For example, there are two storage locations, ROD and AFS. Under ROD, if you see unrestricted stock, then in EWM it will show F1 stock type, because ROD is nothing but 001. Okay, and if it is unrestricted, then in EWM it will determine F1 stock type. Similarly, quality under AFS, then it will show Q2. Why? Because here quality and 002, it will show Q4. Understood? My point was, here you can see this unrestricted stock in MMB, right? You can represent with the location independent stock type in EWM. And this is our further classification. Based on this and this combination only, your stock type is determined in your warehouse.
Rohit, if it is ROD and 001,
Mm-hmm.
then it will be
ROD,
F1, right? ROD
no,
and 001 availability.
see, ROD is equal to 001.
Okay.
You got my point? ROD is equal to 001. See, this is SL01. Just mention it as ROD. In S4, it is represented as ROD, as storage location, but in EWM, we are representing as 001. And this is AFS. AFS is represented as 002. Now, in MMB, under ROD, I see unrestricted stock as 10 eaches. Then in EWM, it will show F1 quantity as 10. In S4, I see in AFS storage location, I see 15 quantity of block stock. Then it will show B2 stock in EWM. If you refer this table, I hope 99% of all the doubts will be clarified.
Location dependent is clarified. Rohit. Only thing is
This is
location
location.
independent. If you
This is location independent.
Yeah,
Okay.
location independent is clarified. Location
Mhm.
dependent is a little bit confusing.
Yes, this location dependent is determined by location independent and availability group. From this combination only, this is determined. Now, for example, if my stock type is in EWM, the stock type is R3, then in MMB, under which storage location you can see the stock?
So location 3.
Correct. So that is how it is being determined. So the same entries we are assigning in the configuration, but in a different
Okay.
manner.
Okay. My question was directed towards location independent stuff. So that is
Yeah,
directly seen in MMB.
correct. Is your doubt clarified?
Yes, Rohit. It does not have anything to do with where it is going to be there. It is just unrestricted quality block that way,
Correct.
which we see it in MMB.
Correct. So if you want to still distinguish what is the in which bin you want, I mean, in which bin the stock is residing, then you need to open the monitor report and check the whereabouts of that particular products.
Yes, Rohit.
Okay.
Okay.
So this was about stock type and availability group about today's class.